But if we're talking about, underperforming teams, we might as well talk about the Packers, because I remember when we placed this game, when we watched the Week 7 preview, and I said, the Commanders, yes, they get the juice with Taylor Heineke, and yes, the Commanders will have it close.
Who said that?
You said that. I'll give you credit where credit's due. But I was like, no, I can't quite put the Packers to lose to the Commanders, because the Commanders, keep in mind, this was coming off the Thursday night game against the Bears, where they looked atrocious. Well, guess what? They lost to the Commanders. And honestly, that game was ugly. That was a hideous game. Now, I'll give a lot of credit to Taylor Heineke. That man, really hard not to root for Taylor Heineke. But the Packers, that offense is pathetic. That is a pathetic offense. Now, a lot of people, there's certain quarterbacks in the NFL that can succeed with a bad wide receiver core. We saw Brady for years with New England, with the, Damari Birds and the Philip Dorsetts of the world, Aaron Rodgers for most of his career. But guess what? What?
Most of his career?
Okay, now that I say that out loud, that's not quite right. He did have Devontae. But what I'm saying with Aaron Rodgers is that this wide receiver core is horrendous. And not only that, this is the oldest Aaron Rodgers we've ever seen, which is obvious, obviously. 39 years old, fresh off of his DMT trips. This is the most pathetic Packers team I've ever seen. Offensively. Pathetic. I mean, they're running backs. I mean, yes, Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, they're great. But they cannot be the number one wide receiver. You cannot have your running back be the number one wide receiver. Or your tight end, Bob Tonyan. God bless his soul. Your receivers are bad. And you lost Randall Cobb.
Yeah, you did.
And you have Romeo Doubs, the undrafted wide receiver. That's who's going to be the number one. In what world? Sometimes you just got to do the name test, right? Sometimes you have to do the name test. You envision the Packers in the Super Bowl or in the NFC Championship game. They're competing against, let's say they're in the NFC Championship game, and they're facing off against the Eagles. You got Darius Slay on the other side and James Bradbury.
Right.
And lining up to beat them one-on-one, you have Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson. Rookies. You have rookies in the NFL. Players who have less than 20 games of experience. And you expect to win that game when they have to go up against the best of the best on the other side? Give me a break.
Right. And you mentioned those guys like they actually showed up in the box score and they didn't. So the box score, what do we have? We have Alan Lazard, 6 catches for 55 yards. And then your next leading receiver is Aaron Jones with 55. And then it's Sammy Watkins, 2 catches for 36 yards. Amari Rodgers, 2 catches for 14 yards. And then you get Bob Tonyan in there. And my thing before the year, I was like, the Packers aren't going to be a playoff team this year because you lost Devontae Adams. You lost Marquez Valdes-Scantling. I said this before the year started. They weren't going to win their division. I didn't know who was going to win it, but it wasn't going to be the Packers because if you're going to only score 10 points, last year was the best chance Aaron Rodgers had of making a Super Bowl, and he absolutely choked it away and blew it at home. There's no excuse to have Devontae Adams, Valdes-Scantling, the best running back duo in that game, maybe in the playoffs, with the way they were rolling, because they were rolling then. Their offensive line was on fire. Their defense was on fire. And just an all-around collapse where the 49ers don't even score an offensive touchdown. I get it was the special teams play, but if you score 10 points at home, you deserve to lose, especially against a warm weather California team. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo going to freezing cold Wisconsin and coming out victorious over Aaron Rodgers. And then this game, I was like, honestly, Jair Alexander was like, hey, if we lose, I know we lost to the Giants, but if we lose to the Jets, that's when I bail. And I'm like, well, you lost to the Jets. He said that. I feel like things are going to start to get weird in Green Bay. So with Taylor Heineke coming back to the lineup, Carson Wentz coming out, Heineken is now the guy. I was like, I think that's actually going to add juice to the Commanders. Carson Wentz is not going to be a distraction for the locker room and Ron Rivera. They're going to be able to focus more on football because the more distractions in Washington you add to an already chaotic situation, it's not a good recipe for success. Well, this week, they came out, they were down, and then they came back to beat the Packers soundly. And the Packers, there wasn't a thing they could do about it. They just had to kind of watch. Aaron Rodgers had to struggle along. And then it's not even like they can run the ball. You have two really good running backs, but the problem is I was like, they have no weapons. It's not that they don't have weapons. It's like, no, they have no weapons. It's not that their weapons are bad. It's just like they're non-existent. So now everyone just focuses on the running game, and then you can straight up play one-on-one on the outside with one high safety. And then you have Aaron Jones, 8 carries, 23 yards. A.J. Dillon, 4 carries, 15 yards. That's not going to do it. If you have no weapons on offense and you can't throw the ball, well, why are there only 12 carries for Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon? That's not going to work it. You should be trying to not pass the ball because you don't have anyone to pass to and you have 2 really good running backs. What are you doing?
Yeah, my thoughts exactly. Now, the rumor mill says that they're talking to Odell and they're talking to Chase Claypool and there's other receivers
Odell's
they're
not
talking
go
to.
There.
But it looks like the most likely scenario is Chase Claypool, which would be the most Packers move ever. No disrespect to Chase Claypool, by the way. I think Chase Claypool would be a nice addition to the Packers, but you need to make more than one move because it's not just a wide receiver. You need 3 good wide receivers and you have 0.
Yeah.
So Packers are in a lot of trouble. Bucks are in a lot of trouble.
Packers need to trade for Brandon Cooks. I said it last week. I'm going to say it again this week. Brandon Cooks, as of last year, he was a top 5 receiver stats-wise over the past 5 years. You go out, you get a guy like him. All you have to do is trade maybe a 4th-round pick and one of your, I don't know, give him a position player or whatever, someone you don't need. And then that's a lot better. Then you can attract someone like Chase Claypool and Odell. But you would need to trade for Brandon Cooks, Chase Claypool, and DJ Moore. Then you have a chance, but are you going to do anything in the playoffs? Absolutely not. Like I said last year, the Packers had all the momentum. Aaron Rodgers won back-to-back MVPs, and you absolutely wet the bed in the playoffs in the first round. You're clearly the best team in the NFC last year. You would beat the Rams in the regular season in a battle, but you came out victorious. So it's like, if you're going to do it, it was last year. And I was like, that was Aaron Rodgers' last chance to win a Super Bowl. So that's why I'm like, nope, pack up shop. You paid him. He just wanted his last contract to get his money. Devontae's out the door. So clearly winning is not on the table for the Packers. It's time to, honestly, if you're the Packers, it's time to trade Aaron Rodgers because it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, they need to rebuild. And I think that he gets in the way of that. And they would get, even for somebody who will most likely only have another 2-3 years at the most, you could still get a couple of firsts for him.
Yeah.
Because a team,
like the Colts. I don't know. The Colts. They like move. Trading for over-the-hill quarterbacks. I mean, the Colts are always welcoming new quarterbacks. They're like, that leads us into our next